informative and contains my opinion and understanding of the subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, you guys. How are you? I don't know why my internet already says that it's not very strong. Oh, I know why. Actually, I do know why I'm lying. Not I'm lying, but you know what I mean. Let me turn this off. I was going to say, how's it already going to give me a problem? I hooked up to the Ethernet cable. And my camera looks a little bit more clear. So I downloaded all these drivers. I'm like, I have to do something. All right, let's see. So hopefully this is on. Hi, Sarah. How are you? So glad you're here. Hopefully it says my connection is unstable. Welcome to my life. My life is unstable right now. I'm hanging in there, Dean. I'm trying. I'm having a crazy, but don't we all, right? Don't we all have crazy times? I'm just having a moment. Ugh. But I want it to come on because the other day I did a Travis Decker PowerPoint and I never did anything with it. So I was like, why don't I go on and that'll take things off of my mind. And we'll do an update and I can show you guys my PowerPoint and we'll see what happens. There's not can you guys believe that he's still not here? He's still on the run. Hi, Ray Ray. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So how was everybody's day today? Was everybody good? Anybody have anything interesting to share? Hopefully Truth or Mark the Shark are here. You needed a break from paper writing. Oh my God, what are you doing? Ray, tell me. I need to know. And Sarah killed the day. Awesome. Okay, well, why I wait for your answers. Oh, my hair's all over the place. Oh, look at my shirt. I'm like, why does my shirt look crazy? It says Philly versus all y'all. Nina. Hi, Nina. So Philly versus all y'all. I'm like, only here do we have a shirt that says y'all, all y'all. Or all yous, sorry, all yous. Y'all is down south. It's all yous. Hi, Nina. You're a blogger too? I actually didn't know that, Sarah, but I'm not surprised. Yes, Philly. Philly. Yes. Are you doing that on purpose, Sarah? Oh wait, how about my hair's in the way? Philly. I feel like you're doing that on purpose because earlier. You goof. All right, let me see why I'm doing this. Let me pull this up. So share screen. Let's see. All right, so first we'll do an update and then I'll show you my PowerPoint thing that I have. So let me add it to the stage.
His 3 young daughters is still on the run after nearly 2 weeks.
Tactical teams are searching for Travis Decker in the backcountry of the Enchantments. That's near Leavenworth, not far from where the girls were found dead. Investigators say he's experienced in survival tactics and has lived in the woods for months at a time. Hikers and residents are asked to stay on guard. Wanted signs are posted in the area. A $20,000 reward is offered for information leading to his arrest. This Friday, a public memorial service will be held for Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker. It's expected to begin at 7 p.m. at Rocky Reach Park in Wenatchee. Organizers are asking those who want to attend to wear purple, pink, or green in honor.
Isn't that so sad, you guys? So they're having I wanted to stop it because I don't want to get copyrighted 3 seconds in. But anyway, they said to wear purple, pink, or green, which is their favorite colors. This is so sad. It's heart-wrenching as a mom.
Honor
As a
the
person,
girls.
it's heart-wrenching.
They are also asking that you bring your own candle.
This case is prompting people to ask for reform of the Amber Alert protocols and family court practices. Leaders came together on Friday in Seattle. They say this current system let this family down. Decker was supposed to return his daughters to their mother after a scheduled visit on May 30th. When he didn't bring them back, their mom called police. Police then issued an endangered missing persons alert instead of an Amber Alert. Washington State Patrol says the father had court-ordered custodial rights, and there was no indication the children were in imminent danger. That's why their Amber Alert request was denied. But court documents show in the past the Deckers fought over custody. Plus, the girl's mother said Travis Decker was homeless and had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder.
So we're going to talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about borderline personality disorder when it is comorbid with CPTSD. So post-traumatic stress disorder, but the chronic form. But either way, it would just be post-traumatic stress because they both have a lot of the same symptoms.
And I think, maybe we have to have some sort of red flag in custody proceedings that lets the system know that these kids could be in danger.
Last session, Washington legislators came close to passing a law that would strengthen child safety protections in custody cases. Now they say they will try again.
Okay.
My name is Joe Thompson.
Oh, sorry, hold on.
I'm the acting United States
Let me
Attorney
turn that off.
for the District of Minnesota. Late
Oh my
last
gosh.
night,
Turn off, buddy. There we go. Okay, so what do we think of this, you guys? I think it's terrible, number one, right? Sarah thinks that, hi, Ryan, Sarah seems to think that that he's going to be found unalived. I think that's what you're trying to say, Sarah. I don't know. I don't think he did anything yet. If he's going to do something, I don't think it's yet. I still think he's alive, in my opinion, but this is just my opinion. This isn't like based on psychology. This is just based on Jaime Vona opinion as a human being. I seem to think, and I guess if you added the stuff that I do know from psychology, I think he's still alive, but I could be wrong. That could be why the infrared isn't working, because he's not alive. Who knows? I do think it's crazy. If you guys saw the terrain, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Let me show you. The terrain is crazy.
Tracking breaking news in the manhunt for Travis Decker right now, the man charged with killing.
Wait to see this.
From people. Something that we've learned over the last week about Travis Decker. He is an ex-Army Ranger. Law enforcement has said that he is a very skilled outdoorsman, has spent months at a time out about in the outdoors. So that is something that police are really taking into account here as they continue this search. Now, here in Ingalls Creek, since last night, we could see different law enforcement vehicles that have been parked here.
So they have law enforcement out there, like in case anybody sees him. I don't know if anybody found out or not. Were they sure if the person that they found on the trail, if that was him or not? And did you guys see that terrain? Okay. G of Twins. Oh, hi. How are you? You think he's alive also? I hope the man, I do too, is in a safe place and that she took the dog instead of staying at the pound. I bet the dog tried to help those girls. Isn't that sad? Which I do too. And I actually believe that that's why, I think that's why the dog was found in the car with the door shut. I was like, he was probably like barking or something and like drawing attention. I mean, that's just my opinion. I have 2 dogs and I'm trying to think why else would his dog be in the car with the door shut. The one thing I did think, you guys, if you're a dog lover out there, right? All of you know that, and we know this with kids and tragedies all the time, that people leave their kid in the car to go run into the store real quick, which that like makes me so nervous when people do that. That could also be because I'm in Philly and you just don't do that here. But I guess if I lived somewhere where there weren't as many people in the population, I'm not downing anybody that's done it. I'm just saying that here I would be afraid that somebody would like leave with my kids. But anyway, people will shut their windows and they don't realize that I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe it's something like every 2 minutes it rises 10 degrees or something. So if anybody out there knows the exact statistic, I think that's it. But regardless, it gets real hot real quick. Think about when you're in the car, right, by yourself. If the windows are up, you're like dying. It's so hot. Exactly. And depending on where you're located, you literally could be dying. So I was surprised at first that the dog was unharmed after being found in the car. I also thought about it. I'm like, that poor dog was in the car for days. I wonder if it had anything to eat. I mean, who knows? 5 degrees an hour. Yeah, so 10 degrees every 2 hours. I have a great memory. So wait, they said the blood was mixed with animal blood. So I bet it kept getting in the middle, to stop him from hurting them. My dogs would lose it. Oh my gosh. Do you think maybe that's where the blood came from? Like if they think that it's Travis's blood, and then maybe he was doing something in the back of the car, because they said it was on the bed of the car. So I also was wondering, why is there animal blood too? But then I thought, could it have been like, I don't know, just something he hit or something? But that makes actually more sense. So there you go. Yes, you both got A's. You're right. But that's actually a really good point, you guys. I think that could be very possible. Oh, I'm dropping stuff. Okay, so let me show you. So I did a PowerPoint present. I'm going to stop this share and I'm going to do a new one. Okay, let's see. Where's my PowerPoint? Here it is. I just have to find it over here. Hold on. Entire screen. Oh, I don't want my whole screen. Where's my thing at? Oh, here it goes. I found it. Okay, now I just have to add it to the stage. I'm getting used to this, you guys. Before, when I used to go live, I used to forget about adding it to the stage, and I would do like half of a slide and somebody would be writing in the chat that you can't see it. So at least I'm like starting to get used to this a little bit. So that's good. All right, so let me come over here and let me pull up my slide and do what I would do at school. There we go. So why I'm on this slide, I guess I could go on my YouTube on my phone, just in case anybody's saying something like we can't hear you or something. That way I'm not like wasting time. All right, it's not recognizing me for some reason right now. All right, I'm in. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up on my phone. I'm going to lower my phone so that we don't get any interference. And I'm going to go to my live. Oh, how about that's not my live? Here's my live. There we go. Oh my gosh, you guys. I've never actually gone on my phone while I was live, so I hope this works. All right. This is like a straight A stupid move. Oh, here we go. I have to get, oh my gosh. That was so dumb. Okay, so now I could see what you guys could see. It is so far behind. I don't know if anybody, like if anybody goes live, like Nina, when you go live, I don't know if you realize, like you guys are still, although I don't know, I guess I'm going to have to see if you guys go full screen or not. Or maybe I'll just do this so that I could see. You guys could still see it there, right? Or do I go full screen? I went full screen and it didn't do anything. So that's why I'm thinking I stay like this. Let me just try one more time. Slideshow from current slide. So it's full screen on my end. I'm going to give it a second on your end because, oh wait, there we go. I could see. Oh, look, it doesn't go full screen. Okay, so that would be a complete waste if I do that. So let me get out of full screen. I'm glad I went on my phone so that I could see. I'm going to do this like this. And now I could see both. Perfect. And I still have my phone in front of me, but I don't even need it now because I could see my chat again. So I could see the chat again, you guys. I figured out how to do my one screen on the one side and my other on the other side. This is literally like the little engine that could, but for computers. That is my computer. It's the little computer that could. Okay, so over here, it won't let me go full screen, which is fine. I have my notes down here, which I'm going to, oh, I thought that would make it a lot bigger, but it really didn't. So we're just going to do this. Oh, don't move that. I don't know why it's not bigger, but that's okay. All right, I have notes that I prepared. Look at this, you guys. I try to work hard for this. I don't know what I'm doing, but teach. Here I go. You ready? So here we go. So the very first thing I didn't put in my notes, so I'm just going to read this real quick over here for my notes. So what can we learn? So first, comorbid, just so you guys know, just means the appearance of more than one disorder at one time. So it's actually more common for somebody to have comorbidity than it's not. So if you're diagnosed with anxiety and depression, bipolar and anxiety and depression, like that's actually more common than just being diagnosed with one thing at once. So keep that in mind. So what can we learn? So first, comorbid borderline personality disorder, which is a cluster B. It's a personality disorder. It's in the same cluster as narcissism, antisocial, and histrionic personality. Okay. But when you mix that with chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, you have a high-risk combination. So especially when it's linked to untreated trauma and relational breakdowns. Next, because we know that that's what happened with Travis, right? So he had untreated trauma. I actually want to ask you guys to put in the chat. Oh, I appreciate that. I want to ask you guys to put in the chat, do you think that the judge should have said absolutely not to him having not parental rights, right? Because we want him to have parental rights, but to have maybe supervised visits until he gets his, because the judge ordered him to get a mental health evaluation. And he didn't go. He refused. He didn't sign on the parenting. Like they abided by this parenting agreement that they had, but he was supposed to sign off on it and he never did. So I just feel like, was that a missed opportunity? I don't know, but I guess we're also looking in hindsight. Shut up, Sarah. You're the best. Yay, that was so exciting. That was so weird to see. That was like, I'm probably not getting used to that anytime soon. That was so crazy. Thank you. So let me thank you, Dr. Vona. You are a naturally born teacher. It's in your DNA. I appreciate that. And I'm so glad all of you are like here with me. I couldn't have picked a better group of people that I would want to hang out with. So G of Twins says yes. So you do agree that the judge probably should have said, Sarah, what do you think? Do you think the judge should have said, and Dinah, thank you, Dinah. Do you think that the judge should have said something like, you know, you have to sign off on this, because the judge ordered him to sign off on it, but then never went through and said anything like, if you don't sign off, da 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 da. So supervised visits due to the disregard of the other orders. You said that so well. Let me repeat that, Ray, because you hit the nail on the head. Supervised visits due to the disregard of the orders. I think that is 100% what I'm trying to say. And Sarah agrees, because I don't think that it's okay to say that you can't see your kids because of mental illness, right? Technically, I have a mental illness. I have ADHD. So technically that's a mental illness. So what does that mean? My husband, if we weren't together, could take me to a court and say she shouldn't spend time with her kids because she's ADHD? No, absolutely not. That to me wasn't the problem. The problem, and I also do think that a personality disorder is different than the other disorders, and they don't get diagnosed as often as they should. And that's because with a personality disorder, they differ from all the other disorders in that all the other disorders that you could think of all fall under this one axis. And then on axis 2, it's personality disorders and mental disability. So with personality disorders and mental disability, why do they separate that from the rest of the disorders? Because with the rest of the disorders, we see more often, and not always, but we see more often that this will occur in like your formative years. So like your late teens, early 20s. However, there are things like autism and stuff that we see, right away. So we have to keep that, like disorders of childhood, we have to keep that in consideration. The difference about personality disorders, though, is that because they develop over time, right, you don't usually realize that there's anything going on. So for example, if I were always like spunky and like, I don't know, whatever, and then all of a sudden I become like depressed, people might say things like, like, what's going on? I noticed you're different, like da 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 da. So you would notice a difference. So I would have derived from my being. With a personality disorder, you never deviate. That's the word I'm looking for. You never deviate from your original being. And therefore, it would be like if I told you right now, all of you, if I told all you in chat, and obviously I don't mean this, but if I told all of you in chat that you had a personality disorder right now, you might turn around and be like, F you have a personality disorder. Like, who are you to say I have a personality disorder? And that would be totally normal because you never deviated from your original self. And therefore, you might not have picked up on the fact that you ever had a disordered personality. Not you, like whoever we're talking about. And I think that we have something here with Travis. And I think that, okay, so we have here, what do we have? Sarah says, same when you commit crimes, if you commit crimes. Right, but before this, he didn't commit any crimes, did he? I don't think he committed any crimes at first, you guys. So I don't know. I love seeing this. So I'm going to put that up there again for a minute. That was so nice of you. I'm like so appreciative. You have no idea. You guys, it like gets me so excited. I have 500 more hours before YouTube starts giving me like the YouTube AdSense thing. So if anybody's ever bored and you just want to put me on in the background to help me get to my 500, that would be so helpful. So baseline BX is seen in crimes. Gotcha. So when you're talking about personality, right? The warning signs here, there were warning signs, right, with Travis. So some of the warning signs were things like, I actually wrote it down this way so that I'm not reading right off of the screen. I know better. I'm a teacher. You're not supposed to read right off of the slides. So in April 2024, a shocking tragedy rocked the small California community. Travis Decker, a U.S. Army veteran and father of 3, was accused of killing his daughters in what may now be what we call a familicide. So just so you guys know, familicide is when you know, I hate the word unalive. When you, what's another word I can use? That's not, I don't know. I had to watch all these things on YouTube for like AdSense, and now I'm afraid to say anything. And now I understand. I used to make fun of other creators. Unless you have like thousands and thousands and thousands of subs, they literally can like push your channel under so that people aren't seeing it. So that's why I'm going to be careful. But I'll say this differently. So familicide is when you get rid of your family, right? So family's in there, and think of homicide. So familicide, you can almost like guess where that comes from. Sarah's laughing at me. There's also something called infanticide. Infanticide is more, and I have to give it to allegedly speculating. I was over there earlier and we were talking about infanticide. Infanticide would be different in that, and she like read it right from the, I don't know if she got it from DSM or where she got it, but she was reading how that is up to 1 to 2 years old. So then I went in my DSM and I'm like, wait a minute, I know that there's another name for this, and it's called familicide is for families. Filicide, oh yeah, I'm going to say this wrong. I'm like I have it in my paper right here. Anyway, I'm saying it, I'm having like a tongue twister right now, but I have my notes. I just dropped something. Okay, so I have my notes. Look at this. Look, you guys, I even put that. I print that out, my brain thing that I love so much, that I always put on everything. I printed out. So. Okay. What's the word I'm looking for? I am looking for, oh, please tell me I wrote it down. I did. Filicide. I was right. It's filicide. It's just filicide. So I just lost it. FILICIDE, which is different than familicide in that you're only taking out your children and not the spouse or partner or whatever the case may be. So keep that in mind. So it's called filicide. So that's only when you take out your kids. Okay. So over here, let me lower this so you guys could see this bigger. I just realized that was still all the way up there. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. Not that it made a much difference, but anyway. So nearly a year later, we're talking about in 2024 is when the Army, no, he wasn't. Why did I write that? I wrote 2025. I just read 2024. I don't know why I just said that. Anyway, this just happened, you guys. We're on day 17. So we're 17 days into the search and people are still searching for him. I think the terrain is, they said it's like so steep that you can't really just ask like the average citizen. You know how in some searches they'll be like, oh, we're going to meet at such and such at whatever time, or we're going to set up a post over here and then people are going to come and da da da. I don't think that you could do that, right? So Kel, you're the best. I don't think that you could do that in this case. So I think that that's important to note. So unless you have somebody that is trained in hiking or the military or even like law enforcement, or they've had some type of training to, it's literally like Batmaning the side of the mountain. Like he's literally in, if you look at the terrain, it's unbelievable. Okay. So Decker disappeared from, he disappeared from where his girls were found, which was in Washington, right? But they found the car. I didn't realize until yesterday. Why did he do it? Jen, hi. Why did he do it? You guys, isn't that the $1 million question? So why would he do this? I think I'm going to hit on it in here. So hi, PKC, welcome. How are you? It is mortifying. I'm going to do this, and then afterwards, if I don't answer it, then we'll answer it better then, but I think I go into it here. We have sadism over here from Sarah. So Sarah, I think it's more than sadism. Sadism, you guys, would just be when you get off on hurting others, like physically hurting others. So think of like pickerism. So I did that short on pickerism, and that's when you get like a sexual feeling out of using sharp objects. It's crazy. Anyway, today's day 17 since he went missing. But this case isn't just a crime story. It's a critical study in what happens. Okay, so it's a critical case study in what happens when complex trauma, untreated mental illness, and identity breakdown collide. So in my opinion, this is what we're dealing here, okay? This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with complex trauma, untreated mental illness, and an identity breakdown. What do I mean by an identity breakdown? I know that his dad is an Army Ranger, which I believe is like the highest you could go as far as like how lethal you are as like you're pretty much a weapon as a person at that point. And I know that he wanted to live up to that same thing that his dad did, but I do think that he discharged from the Rangers himself or something, and then he went into, if anybody knows for sure, let me know. And then he went into into the reserves, but it was like active reserve. So I like read it, and it's not like my brother-in-law was in the reserves, but he like went away for 6 months or whatever, and then came home, and then he had to go every like a few times a month or whatever. But this was different in that he like did a different type of training, and they serve differently. And he's also part of, oh my God, what's it called? The National Guard. I was just having a tongue twister. So your husband is a retired reserve. Hi, Sybil. How are you? Thank you for saying I'm right. That was great. Sarah, 100%. He lost his identity after the military, 1,000%. Yes, thank you. I was just going to say that, Sarah. I was going to say, thank you for being brave so that I could be free. That's what I always say. Thank you for being brave so I could be free. And let's be honest, nobody would want me fighting for our freedom. I would get us all caught. So I'm like, I have way too much of an exaggerated startle reflex. I'll stay here and talk. Hi, Lucas girl. You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. I emailed you back, Lucas girl. Okay, so back to this real quick. We're going to be seeing complex trauma, untreated mental illness, and identity breakdown, in my opinion. I think Sarah's right that this has something to do with his identity after coming home. I think that a lot of vets have the same problem. Like when they come home, we don't do enough to reintegrate them into society. I think we talked last time about how we have them in like fight or flight for 10 months, 8 months, sometimes a year at a time. And then we tell them to come home. And we're like, oh, just go sit on the couch. I'll make you a sandwich. And it's like, then we wonder why they can't just chill and let us make them a sandwich type thing. And it's because their body and mind are still in fight or flight. So to them, it's like, wait, what? And I know that a lot of times they may look at us like, look how compliant you guys are. Like, we're not even paying attention to this, that, and the other. And they had to be hyper aware that they didn't step on an explosive device. You know what I mean? So they had to be so hyper aware. And I would assume, I've never, done a tour of duty, but I would assume that even when you're asleep and there's other people looking out for you type thing, that you're still never sleeping or getting like 100% sleep type thing. So that's what I would assume. So your brother was Air Force. Thank him for his bravery. Then contracted to the Middle East for 15 additional years, PTSD, and a lot of other battles. My heart breaks for the situation. PTSD is the struggle is real, you guys. I have a lot of service members in my classes, and they talk about it often. I do have some, though, that have come home and they don't have PTSD. So I want to make sure that we make it clear that not everybody gets PTSD if they serve. However, a lot of people do, so much so that we need to look at it as complex trauma and give them the treatment that they deserve for fighting for us. Okay, here we go. So Sarah's having a quarter life crisis at 22. Sarah, that's like crazy. You're funny. They might be unsure of their role in the family. Yes. Whereas they did when they were in the military. That's exactly right, Ray. So you get an A+. I totally agree with you here. I totally agree with this. So in the military, they had their identity, right? So they had a role that they were playing. And then they come home and he got that sideline for him. And then Whitney says, and I was able to listen to some of their court things where he talks as well. I wish I had it on, up here somewhere. I should have brought that up. That was not the smartest. That was less than smart. I'll remember that for next time. But he tells the judge like that he's homeless, but that he still feels like he has a lot that he could offer and just all of this stuff. So Whitney said that right before they got a divorce, he got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Whitney's his ex, and chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. Why is this important? Because he gets diagnosed, and I believe that she files because he was getting erratic. Even the neighbor said that he had like outbursts and stuff. And, so I think in this situation, he loses his military, right? And then he loses his house. He's got to move out. He loses his wife. And now he's losing his kids. And it's like, what else? And from what we hear, he's been doing a lot of jobs that are minimum wage, which I think is messed up. Like I feel like we should have been giving him more than that. This does not excuse anything he's doing. They're two totally separate things. So anybody that goes in the military, I believe that. But I think in his situation, this is tragic. Anyway, look at it. So has anyone mentioned the weight? What they did while they're there also is a lot for them to carry, 1,000%, because yes, we're law-abiding citizens who then became trained killers, but they never got the psyche of that. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. They should have done a psych eval. I 1,000% believe that too. Happy Monday, bullets and bling. That's fine if you're just listening. I have ton to say, so you could listen. There you go. Thank you for being here. But you guys, I totally agree with that. Like I said, like they're in that state of like fight or flight for that long, and then we tell them to come home and just chill. And we're like, what's the matter? Like, you're home, you're good. And it's like, wait, what? It just doesn't jive with what they've already been doing. And I think that they do give them a little bit more attention than they did before, but it's definitely still not enough. So whether we have to up the funding, whatever the case may be, but I feel like if you're going to go and fight overseas for our freedom, that we should, take care of you when you come home, no matter what, even if you've been discharged, as long as it's not like dishonorably. So let me see here. So we have over here, we had some of the warning signs. So isolation, stuff like that. We also have my clinical message here is that understanding how trauma and identity breakdown interact can help prevent future tragedies. So hopefully these 3 children don't die in vain, right? So hopefully that, this will bring awareness to people to where if somebody's struggling, even if there's a judge listening somewhere to this case, right? I'm sure that judge feels terrible too now, but you also have to remember if the judge would have said, no, you can't have your kids, then I feel like that would have been an argument too. So I don't know that we can really, say that it's the judge's fault. However, I do think that the judge, after ordering the psych eval, should have, and him to sign the parenting agreement, that should have been done before he could see his kids. I also heard that this was the first time that he was seeing his kids in a while, like as far as having custody of them, but I didn't know that to be true. So I don't want to spread misinformation, but if anybody knows that, let me know. Okay. So yeah, so sometimes they might turn to alcohol because the central nervous system, that is true. So we're fighting a tummy bug. Oh my God, everybody is so sick, bullets and bling. So sick. It's crazy. All right, let's see. So personality, I think the second they sign on the dotted line, they should receive full medical care for every single part. Yes, for the rest of their lives. None of this. Yes. I agree. I agree. So they should at least get medical, right? For serving us. So a risk assessment. Sarah, I think they did this, right? And then, but, oh wait, I think I put the wrong one up. There you go. So I think that they did call for some sort of, I don't know if it was a risk assessment or like a mental eval, but I feel like the judge had leverage there. You know what I mean? I don't know. But anyway, let's go to the next slide. What did I do, Sarah? Did I do something already? Oh, you guys, look at that. I started at the end, but that's okay because it's all the same information anyway. I have my notes here. So Travis Decker, he'd been formally diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and complex post-traumatic stress disorder, 2 conditions that when comorbid, so when you have them together, can lead to catastrophic outcomes, okay, if left untreated. So let me put that out there too. This is if it's left untreated, okay? Borderline personality disorder is rooted in unstable identity, intense emotional shifts, and fear of abandonment. I need everybody to, remember that. At the core of borderline personality disorder is a fear of abandonment, okay? And that fear of abandonment and then dysregulation of emotion, that's borderline personality right there. One of the ways that I try to explain it to somebody who doesn't follow me when I try to, explain borderline personality is think of, and again, this is just to give you a visual, think of like somebody that's borderline is like liquid jello, right? So think of that as their emotions. They have a hard time regulating those emotions. When they have a solid mold, they can become the solid form of jello. So once there's a mold down, they can conform to the mold. But once the mold's lifted, they go back to the liquid form again. I don't know if that helps anybody visualize it, but that's like one of the ways that I could help you if you're having a hard time. Some of you know what this is, but if somebody's out there listening and they're having a hard time, that's one way. So you could see the military as a mold, his marriage as a mold, the kids or being a dad as a mold, a homeowner as a mold. So these are all molds that when he had that mold, he was able to very well conform to them. Once all those molds were lifted from him, then what? So it was like that fear of abandonment was right there. I also think that they said that he called his dad and his brother for the first time in a long time, which would say a lot to me. So that would say to me that maybe he might have been planning this, right? So, and also I think he might have been planning this too, just because we know that the bags were there, like there were more bags there and more zip ties for the wrist, which is terrible. We need more veterans treatment courts. Yes, to include custody issues. Oh my God, that is such a great point. Yes. And the part about monitoring more. So I don't want people to get this in the wrong way, because with being monitored, I would hate for somebody to feel like, again, I have ADHD. I would hate for, if God forbid my husband and I weren't together when my kids were little, for him to like take me to court and be like, she has ADHD. I need that. Like, so I wouldn't want the court to be like, I'm going to monitor you as a parent. However, risk assessment. Sarah said the right thing earlier. There should be some sort of risk assessment to see if the parent is already in treatment. Like I'm in treatment, I go to therapy, I go to a psychiatrist, I have it under control. So maybe that would be the risk assessment part, where it would be like, yeah, you're not taking anything away from her. Like she's got it. She's doing what she's supposed to. So, but then again, it's also saying, do they shine light on what I'm supposed to do with mental illness? And you could say, well, can't they shine light on somebody being like an a-hole or something? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I guess it's like that's a hard line. I don't know. So over here, we do have, TRICARE, which is really good insurance, but a lot of folks fall through the cracks. Oh my gosh, you're so right. That so does happen. And I don't think he was getting any type of military benefit. So I do think that that's important too. So when you say TRICARE, is this just for military people, or is this for other people as well? Just one. One is crisis of identity, 1,000%, up against the central nervous system that stays amped for up to 24/7. Yes. Yes. And yes, those mountains are crazy to move. So I agree with you totally here about the central nervous system. And we have to take that in consideration. So even things like an exaggerated startle reflex would have to do with that as well. This is such a sad case, 1,000%, because he really was a great dad when he was there, right? But his mental illness declined so much in the end. It really did. And I think that we have to see, I don't know enough about him to know if we're looking at something where it was like a if you can't have them, nobody can thing, or if it was like a untreated mental illness, like almost like a paranoid type thing. Not paranoid in the sense of like schizophrenia, like paranoid schizophrenia, but maybe the thoughts of, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, do you guys think that it's going to be, do you think that he thought this out? Do you think he snapped? Because my one thing when I said, or that would then mean snapping, and I don't think he snapped. So I think I have to reflect on that. One is a crisis. Yeah, I already read that. I read that one. Oh, good. Now what? We need to find them. What do you mean? Throw yellow flags before they turn red. Yeah, I see you. Yes. So, and I think she did, right? But then on the other hand, how many times do you see a couple that's in a custody battle where the one party is accusing the other party of something and they may not have done it? So I do think that the ex-wife brought it up to the judge about how his mental health is declining and all. I think that the judge just had to look at the totality, and maybe like, him being a service member, maybe that played into the judge's decision making, like, oh, he served our country, who knows. Sarah agrees that nobody snapped. I agree with that. Sometimes it's just a perfect storm. That's actually a good way to put that, unfortunately. Yes. Sadly, it's up to the co-parent. But that's the thing, Cal. I don't know if you have like friends or family or anyone, even a neighbor or anything that, the people are in like a custody battle and they try to put something on the other parent that might not be real. So I'm sure the judge deals with that too, which I think that if somebody does that and it's unfounded, that there should be some sort of like punishment for that of some sort. I don't know that it's go to jail. I don't know what it is. It depends on what it is, right? I guess you could say that there's, you could sue somebody for defamation. I don't know, but I think you have to like prove losses and stuff for that. So that's like a whole legal battle. Okay, so over here, let's keep going. All right, so we already did that. All right, so here we go. So I have this up. So the borderline personality and the complex PTSD, okay? Hi, I love tacos. Good to be, I'm glad that you're here. Okay, so Travis Decker, we know that he's been formally introduced. We know that borderline personality, I already told you, is rooted in that fear of abandonment and then the inability to regulate emotion. Then with CPTSD, on the other hand, so this would be different. So I wrote here that borderline personality disorder is rooted in unstable identity, intense emotional shifts, and fear of abandonment. CPTSD, on the other hand, results from prolonged trauma, often involving betrayal, helplessness, or captivity, such as what any combat veteran might experience. In combination, these two disorders can fragment a person's sense of self and warp their connection to others, especially family. So I wrote that, so I just wanted to put that out there. I wrote this the other day too. So in the Travis Decker case I wrote, we see two core psychiatric mechanisms at play. So in my opinion, on one end, we have attachment trauma, and on the other end, we have identity deintegration. So on one end, we have attachment trauma, on the other end, identity disintegration. Research shows, because I did my research when I did this, I made sure I did all the research. I went to the DSM 4TR and 5TR and everything. I almost just said the 5TR. We're like two things out of that. Okay, so I made sure I looked at all the recent data. In the Decker case, research shows that, not in the Decker case, research just shows that early attachment wounds, whether from childhood abuse, neglect, or even something like a military betrayal, which you could say that he might have felt like a military betrayal. Hi, Truth. Let me see, Truth. Would be hell of a combination to deal with. Absolutely. 100%. Oh, look, we have a mod in here. Truth came. Hi, Truth. How are you? Okay. So after military service, I think that it's really important that we look into this. especially because even if the military doesn't feel like they betrayed the soldier could feel like, or the Marine or whatever it is, could feel like they've been betrayed by the military, which we might see in this case. So I know that he was discharged. And I wonder what role that had on him. I know that for the reserves, he wasn't showing up to his training. So I know that that was a problem. And I think they were going to discharge him as a result. So that probably played into it too. So Sarah says, I think he didn't know how to achieve happiness all alone without navigation. Same for attention. I totally agree. So I also agree that, and a lot of people, this is true of a lot of people though. So I do think it's important to point out that there's a lot of people out there that don't know how to be alone, but they'll never go on to hurt anybody. So I think it's that, but I think there has to be more than just that, because there's probably people in here right now that don't know how to be alone, right? And they didn't do anything like this. So there has to be that interfering with daily functioning as far as the mental illness is concerned here. So I wrote, in combination, I already said that they can fragment a person's sense of self. So I totally agree with that. If you look at the background in the live right now, it's a guy's face and it's like two different sides of his face. And that's a lot of this personality disintegration that I'm talking about. So it's like on one hand, you have one thing, and then on the other hand, you have the other thing. Okay. Let's see. What else do I want to say here? Okay, this is what I wrote. So let's see. Okay, so this military betrayal, if he felt that there was one, can make a close relationship feel threatening, or like it's like suffocating them. Maybe that's not the best word to use here, but as if it's like overpowering or overwhelming them. Okay. Borderline personality disorder would add volatility on top of that. Okay. So while CPTSD, or if somebody's just joining, chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, adds avoidance and mistrust. So post-traumatic stress disorder, whether it's chronic or not, we see avoidance behavior. All right. Sybil says that if he was missing drills, he was having issues. We just don't know enough about him yet. That's what I said. I agree with you, Sybil. Could there be, substances of, we just don't know. And I think Sarah said that earlier too. Like, do we know if there's alcohol involved? Like, we don't know. So, and I do know that a lot of people are saying, and I think even the ex said that he wasn't on like he wasn't taking medications and stuff. So that was like a big red flag to her. But my thing is, with some of these disorders, you don't always get medication. So I have plenty of students that are diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and even ones that have PTSD as well, that don't take medication. They do dialectical behavioral therapy. So I think that it's important to note that not everybody with a disorder is going to take medicine. So I just wanted to put that out there. So I also put here, after I wrote that borderline personality adds volatility, while CPTSD adds avoidance and mistrust. When attachment collapses in someone like Decker, the very people they love, of course, hold on, you guys. My dogs like to bark. I don't know who's at the door. Oh, that sounds like Rue. My dog was just talking truce dog talks. It's crazy. Like has a full-blown conversation with you. Okay. So back to this real quick. I apologize about the dog. I don't know who's at the door. Was Joanna here? I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Maybe they just saw her car and thought it was her. I have no idea. I think he just saw the car out there. My dog is like, yes, we're going to have hound therapy session. I totally agree. Yes, please like, subscribe, and share. Hi, Mark. How are you? My dog is protecting me 1,000%. He's just annoying sometimes. He like protects me too much. My husband can't come in and talk to me because if he comes in to start talking to me, my dog will bark so much that he has to be like, whatever. Like I can't even talk to my wife. And I'm like, all right, this is a problem. Like we might need hound therapy for sure. Oh, yes. Truce dog sounds like Chewbacca, 1,000%. 1,000%. Okay, back to Travis Decker real quick. Thank you, Rye. Back with the Travis Decker. So I wrote here that, again, the very people that they love, like their children, may become the source of overwhelming emotional conflict. Identity disintegration, meanwhile, is a breakdown. So just so you guys know what it is, it's a breakdown in the coherent sense of self. After military service, Decker may have lost the roles that gave him purpose. So being a soldier, a protector, a provider, right? He was a provider. I'm covering my face, okay? What's the matter with me? So he's a protector, a provider. I'm such a goof, you guys. My nickname is Straight A Stupid. That was so Straight A Stupid. Where the hell did you two just come from? No wonder why the dogs are barking. So you guys were definitely right. They were protecting me. My daughter's friends just popped up in the backyard somehow, and I don't know where they came from. Thor's awesome. According to the court docs, he was unmedicated due to lack of care. He had been trying to get treatment, but could not find it through the VA because he didn't get deployed. I thought he did get deployed. That's why I was so confused. I thought I saw pictures of him deployed. So now I'm confused. So I don't know if somebody knows that, if you can help us with that. Either way, right? It still gave him a sense of purpose and a sense of mission. He had a mission. So it's like, this is your mission. And he knew to do A, B, and C to get the mission done. And it's like, and then he comes home, and even though he didn't have the military anymore, he was still a husband and a dad. Once that got taken from him, and then he didn't have a house anymore. And from what we hear, he tried to get back with his ex-wife the week before, like literally the week before, and she said no. And I believe, I think it was her lawyer that made a few statements for her, but I think the lawyer also said that he was telling the kids that he might be moving back in. So could it be that he thought that she would take him back? Maybe. And then she doesn't. And this is his, if you can't have them, nobody can. I don't know. I don't think we know enough yet. But I do think that these are all real possibilities that we see in every day, which is how it becomes a possibility now. So nope, he never got deployed. I didn't know that. He was in the Army and then got transferred to the National Guard because he was struggling with his mental health. Then he was discharged. That's crazy. So I feel like, Sybil says he did go overseas. Oh, no. So, look, a squirrel said no, that he did not. And I think you said that you looked at the court papers. What if he felt like he failed? Oh, absolutely. He probably felt like he failed at some grand plan. So whether that's to be a dad, a protector, whatever the case may be, Whitney and the kids didn't need his protection anymore. So she was like, no, thank you. I'm moving on. And I think that might have just been too much for his identity to handle, in my opinion. Okay. So what else do I write here? I should put my finger where I end up at so I know where to read the next time. So I said about being a soldier, a protector, a provider with no inner stability and unresolved trauma. Okay. A distorted logic can emerge. Okay. So you can start thinking illogical and sometimes even in almost like a paranoid way due to this. So we have to be careful of that. And again, this isn't Travis on this. This is more about the disorder of this next part. So it wouldn't be uncommon to hear somebody say something like, if I can't protect them, if I can't have them. So all these types of things, then you can't either. But I don't think that we know enough to say, where was he thinking at this point? This tragic thinking pattern is seen in a subtype of filicide called altruistic filicide. This is when a parent believes that being done is a form of protection. And again, I don't know that we know that to be true. There's different types of filicide, which I'll show you guys in a few minutes, but that's one of them. So that's just one of the possibilities. But again, I don't think that we know enough. So let me go over here real quick. So I have over here attachment to trauma and identity collapse play key roles, in my opinion. So let me just tell you. So attachment is the strong bond between two people. That's all it means. You can have an attachment to your sibling, to your parents, to your significant other, to friends. So attachment can be to multiple, relationships in your life. So he may have had a fear of abandonment, which I would likely say that I could probably bet money that he had a fear of abandonment, because he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and that's what's at the center of that. But the mistrust, I'm not sure about. But again, mistrust could just, when I wrote this, I could have just meant that what he thought, what he perceived his future to be wasn't. So he was no longer needed as a protector, a husband, a service member, so on and so forth. I think that if anybody's listening out there and you're a vet, number one, thank you for being brave so that I could be free, right? I also would say take care of yourself, because you have to take care of yourself, right, before you take care of other people. They even say when you're on a plane, you have to put your mask on first. That's like my biggest fear, right? But that you have to put your mask on first before you can help other people. So I think that's very true here too. Okay, schizophrenia runs in families too, which is, you're right, it also is usually on the father's side. Truth gets an A. Better watch out, Sarah. Truth is coming right behind you here with an A. I'm just kidding. Okay, so identity anyway, that could lead to emotional volatility. Identity post-military. So your identity, I hope you all know what your identity is, right? So your identity is who you are. A lot of people, I often say this one thing, because a lot of people mix up identity and sexuality. They're not the same thing. So I usually tell my students, think of it as identity is who you go to bed as, sexuality is who you go to bed with. So your identity is you. Who are you? And for me, let me just give you an example. A professor, somebody that talks to people that are having a hard time. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, a daughter, so on and so forth. A YouTube content creator now, I can add that. And an editor, you guys. Editing videos is so, the struggle is real. It takes hours. I have a newfound respect for anybody that does edited videos. Nina could tell you it's not easy. Okay, or anybody else in here that's ever edited a video could tell you. So anyway, so with his identity, I think that post-military, his self-view as a protector, I think he might have felt like a failure there. So, and again, whether it be that she didn't need him anymore or whatever the case may be. What are we saying? What happened with Plunder? I love Plunder. Did I miss something? Did Plunder do something? She always has the best content. It was reported that Travis was deployed to Afghanistan for 4 months in 2014. Hi, Harlot. Hey. That's what I thought too. So I guess you guys, let's keep that up in the air. So I thought that he was deployed in Afghanistan as well. And that's why I think part of the reason that I'm other than the fact of the obvious reasons, but one of the things that has me keep going back to this is the fact that they didn't at least give him medical. I don't know if you guys know this, but 22 service members a day. I hate the word unalive. I'm going to have to come up with a new word for that because I hate that word. But people take themselves out. So 22 a day in this country. So not even abroad. This is in this country. 22 servicemen and women go through with that. So with that being said, oh, you guys, last time we were talking, I said that word a lot, the word that goes with that. And I'm oh no, I was YouTube's going to take me down forever. Self-offing. There you go. That's a good one. Hi, Harlot. So let's go to the next slide. I only have 2 more, and I already did the last one over here. Oh, no, I didn't. We have 2 more. We're good. Okay, so this is when I write clinical typologies. That just means what are the types. Okay, so oh, that was Thor. Did you hear him? He's so cute. So there are different types here that we need to look at. He just made a big sigh as if he has such a hard life. It's hysterical to me. Okay, so let me help you define some of these. All right. So first, infanticide. Oh no, I don't have infanticide up there. But just so you guys know, and I did say this earlier, infanticide is when you get rid of the child that's under 2 years old. Okay, so Truth, you have to come up with a word for that now. We got the self-offing. Now we need kid-offing. I don't know, but whatever. It would usually be under 1 year old. I think the DSM-5-TR has expanded it up until 2 years old. I think that this goes along with post-traumatic stress disorder. So I think we have to keep that in mind. I think when we see infanticide, we often will see, not always, but a lot of times, a mom that is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't know if you guys know the case, and it's heartbreaking. I'm going to have to cover it at some point. But the mom is, she is a pediatric nurse, or was a pediatric nurse. And she winds up, she has post-traumatic stress disorder, and she tries to get help over and over and over again. So now we're talking about how Travis doesn't have help. She had help, and she went away a few times, and she had post-traumatic stress disorder, and it wasn't helping. Her husband even went on family medical leave, but then it was too long that he had to start working from home type thing. Long story short, they got to a point where they felt she was okay to stay with the kids for a few minutes. So she says, all right, let's eat whatever, their favorite meal. He goes and gets the food, and within the 15 minutes that he's gone, she gets rid of the kids and then jumps out the window. Yes, Lindsay Clancy, that's her name. What a case that is, you guys. And I think that her case is so important to highlight, because before that happened, and that would be considered infanticide, before that happened, you could say that on paper and even in person, anybody would say that everybody was like, wait, what? What's happening? Are you kidding me? She was a pediatric nurse. So, I mean, you just didn't think that, or you thought there would be help out there for her. And she just didn't get the help that she needed either, or the right help. And that's what resulted. She did survive. So the husband comes home and sees her outside the window, and she was laying on the ground. She survived. And yes, she was a pediatric nurse. And he said to her, where are the kids? And she said, I think she planned it out. I don't know how planned it was, but I think enough, but that they were able to find Google searches and stuff. You guys, Google is no joke. People will Google the craziest things. But I don't know how planned it was. So how about that? It was planned. I don't know how planned it was. I don't know if it was days before, weeks before. I don't know. Yes, she's a quadriplegic, Sybil. Yes, she's a quadriplegic now. So he went and he saw her or whatever. And apparently he stayed with her for a few minutes while they called the ambulance. And he's like, where are the kids or whatever? And she says downstairs, and he goes downstairs, and the baby is actually still alive. The other two are pronounced gone. We have people that think that it was 100% planned. Okay, what do other people think? I don't remember. If not, I just remember that there were Google searches. Either way, I think I looked at it for the mental health aspect. Here goes a mom who didn't get the help she needed. Same thing with Andrea Yates, right? She does the same thing with 5 of her kids. And this gives me nightmares, if you think, right? Because in this case, it wasn't with, a quick way of going. You had it takes 5 to 7 minutes, I think it is. Chris Watts right in front of the other one, right? So Bella says to him right before, are you going to do to me what you did to Cece? And he said, I don't know if I was evil or if I just did it. He said, I don't know if I was evil and said yes and then did it, or if he just did it. I was like, wait, what? I don't know if you know this. So Jen, or anybody in here, I don't know if you guys know this, but the number one cause of death for pregnant women in the United States is homicide. I'll say that again. The number one cause of death for pregnant women in the United States is homicide. That is a problem. Okay. So you might think things like, a medical reasoning, this, that, it's homicide. And it's usually by the person that they're having a child with. In this case, when, with the Chris Watts thing, I think that if Shanann wasn't pregnant, that it might have occurred to him to maybe get a divorce. I think the fact that in the very beginning of their marriage, he does an entire, I can't wait to get into that one too, but he does an entire PowerPoint. I don't know if you guys remember Chris Watts did, when how a baby can save your marriage. Public service announcement. Getting pregnant does not save a marriage or a relationship. If anything, it makes it harder. Okay. So anybody that has kids out there knows that come 4 months in, you're delusional, tired, you're cranky, all these things. So I don't know. I don't know that this is something that I have never met a professional that says that having a baby is going to save your relationship. How about that? Let's just say that. Sybil agrees. Yes, right? He even said as such. Absolutely. Oh, did he? I didn't realize he said that. So Dr. Vona, do you think it was planned with, that's a good question. So I definitely think he did it, in my opinion. I think in that case, I'm gonna have to look into it more, but I do think in that case, if you look into like what happened that night with OJ, his son, I believe like the daughter had a recital and he went to the recital, and usually like after the recital, they would go out to eat or something like that, right? So he goes out to eat, or no, that she goes out to eat with the kid and stuff. And I think like she was supposed to go where his son was working, but she didn't. I don't know. And then I think OJ might have saw her with like a younger. Oh, I also think I have the book, If He Did It, or If I Did It. Remember that book? And then the Ronald Goldman's family got the rights to the book and OJ is one of the reasons that you're not allowed to, like, somebody that does that is not allowed to profit off of it. So Ronald Goldman's family winds up getting the proceeds from that, and they were able to get it in time to change the book cover. So instead of If I Did It, they cross out the word if, but it's like crossed out so you can see that it used to say if, and then it just says I did it. That was crazy. Of course, I went right to the chapter that discusses it, and I feel like he literally tells us if he did it, what he would have done. In that case, he discusses how she was like driving around in his car with a younger version of him. So I think that there was already jealous rage there. I also know that there was, DV. I hate these words, you guys. I can't take it. That he also mistreated her, right? And he put his hands on her. How about we say that? And there's court document of it. And there's even the 911 tapes that we heard her freaking out that he's there and he's going to, get her. So I think there that it was already a jealous rage. Could it have been that night that something sparked it right before? Absolutely. But I don't know if we call that, like, what do you guys call that? Is that a snap or is that premeditated? What do you guys think? Like, what would that technically be considered? Because I think it could be a little bit of both. I think he could have already had the jealous rage and then something that night. And I think they said too, he could have raged. She had multiple. Yes. So you're saying that so a rage would be more right spur of the moment. Hi, Dinah. So I'm glad that you got back. I think he was just used to, yeah, but he did it a different way though, baby doll. Hi, baby doll. He does it a different way, right? So it's not that he was just, hurting her. He goes in. I think personally that he saw Ron Goldman going there, and I don't think he knew that it was to give back the mom's glasses. And I think he thought that it was going to be something else. And I think that he exploded. And that's what happened. But I think he already had that jealous rage to begin with. But that would be cool for us to like get into that one day, just to go over the different possibilities there too. Back to this real quick with the Travis Decker case. I don't want people that are here for that to be like, all right, shut up, talk about this again. So filicide is getting rid of your children. So that would be without the parent too. So this is the children. Yes, I agree with you, Tacos. For those of you who have never had the pleasure of owning Akita, the only person on the planet that could have done it without getting their jugular ripped out was okay. Oh, that's true, right? Right. I agree with you with OJ. I totally agree. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to do an OJ live. Over here, filicide would just be if you take out the kids, so you're not taking out the significant other or yourself. And then for familicide, this is the whole family. This could be including or not including the perpetrator. So Chris Watts, for example, he would be considered familicide because he takes out Shanann as well, but he doesn't take himself out. So with familicide, it's multiple family members, but not necessarily the actual person that's doing, that's perpetrating. Then we have two different types of. So familicide, I wrote here that familicide involves multiple family members, often a spouse and children, right? In the Decker case, all three children were victims. It classifies as a child-only familicide or a filicide. So either a child-only familicide or just filicide. You're going to hear it two different ways out in, the public. This is very rare, but it's also very disturbing, right? So it's rare but disturbing. Forensic research identifies several types of familicide. Decker appears to fit two overlapping categories. So one, anomic filicide, which is triggered by identity loss and role collapse. Shut up. Thank you. I love you. You're the best. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah says, I think there may be sadism here. I mean, he was trained. He was trained, right, to protect us in that way. So I don't know. I have to be honest with you guys. Sarah brings up a good point. Some of my students, if you guys could hear what they say, you would be like mind blown. I don't even want to say some of the things or tell you some of the things that they've showed me because I don't even want it to even go there, but you guys could use your imagination. But they've told me a lot, and I just can't imagine seeing the things that they saw. And there were a few of them that were like excited by showing me the things. Like I was kind of like, okay, you look way too excited about this. And then others that were more like, I'm like, why are you holding on to this stuff? Like this is clearly bringing you distress. So I think it could go two different ways, right? That is a horrible way to eliminate your offspring. I couldn't think of another way. Let's see. Oh, truth. I forgot about that. You guys, we definitely have to do an OJ live. Definitely. I forgot about this guy. So there's a guy, Glenn Rogers, that I think during his trial or something, he had the pin that Nicole was wearing that night or something on, and he was like telling people. I don't know. We definitely need to look into that though. I remember that. I don't know. What do you think, Truth? I don't know about that. Could it have been OJ and him? I don't know. At least the other two saw the first one happen. So that baby devil, that was my biggest problem with this whole case, is that two of these kids, so just like Bella had to watch Cece, I would have nightmares at night thinking, not only did the kids suffer, how long did it take? I would think which one of them, was first, which one was last. I can't imagine this poor mom. I don't know how she ever moves on from this. And again, we never expect a mom to move on or dad to move on from the loss of a child in that way, but move on just meaning live, right? You still have to live somehow. So I don't know. Dynamite says bears kill their offspring. Yes, he's animalistic. So I think that's one of the things, right? Yeah, Truth, revisit that, because after you said that, I just had a million flashbacks. And then Baby Doll says, same, it's been driving me crazy, right? Doesn't that drive you crazy? Same. I feel like with Chris Watts, although we were all thinking that, I think a lot of people thought maybe the kids were already before Shanann got home, but when he tells that story about how he was focusing on Shanann at the time and that the kids woke up. I don't know if anybody knows the Chris Watts story. I'm sure you all do, but he literally tells a writer about the whole thing and says that he already unalives his kids. And then he's wrapping up Shanann, and the kids come walking back in with bruises and disoriented. I was like, wait, what? So that story's horrifying. But with that one too, you have to remember that would drive me crazy. Thinking, did the one see the other? And again, it takes 5 to 7 minutes. It's not something that you just do quickly. And I think it takes even longer when I don't know. Does it take longer when you suffocate as opposed to strangle? Because with strangling, there could be the fracturing of bones and things like that, where with suffocation, I don't know, one little tiny increment of air is going to give you a little bit more air and a little bit more life. The whole thing just gives me nightmares about this. It's just a horrible thing. Yeah, but since they were so little. Oh, you mean that it might have been quicker? I'm like, what do you mean that because they're so little? I got what you mean. So you're saying that because they're so little, their lungs are little or things like that. Either way, could you guys imagine seeing your siblings? I don't know. So it's yes, it's very intimate, Sarah, very. And about power and control, don't we see that as a theme amongst a lot of these people? So he told multiple stories. Why not just tell the truth? Her poor family. Oh, you're talking about the Watts case. Yes. that poor family, that poor mom and dad, it's terrible. Yes, these are their kids. It's like, I don't know. It is very violent. Roses are red, mods are blue. Speak your mind. Be kind or they'll delete you. I love that, Dynamite. That's great. You guys, over here, this last one is the identity collapse and loss of control. I think that's what we're seeing here too. So I think that we're not seeing as much a distorted belief in mercy, but we're seeing more of an identity collapse and a loss of control. So he no longer not only was he not needed as a protector or as the husband or as the service member. I mean, it's one thing not to be needed as that. And then on top of that, to not have control of, even when they said like he tried to get her back the week before, same thing. She then turns him down. That right there, identity collapse, it loss of control. There's nothing he could do to control that. I think, like I said, he told the girls that he might be moving back in. Isn't that, oh, poor kids. So BTK liked it because he didn't like, but he saw that it screwed up the fantasy. That's 1,000% true. But I think that he's different in BTK, that one is fantasizing, where I don't know that I would say that Travis fantasized about it. I think if anything, in my opinion, it would be more of an identity collapse, where with BTK, I do see it as part of his fantasy. And even with the Lisk one, we have to get into that one too. That one is, and again, do you guys think that his wife and daughter knew? The Long Island one? Okay, let's see. So did he kill them to hurt her, you think? Baby doll. I think so. So I think that if we look at it, and again, I don't know to be sure because we don't know enough information, but I think if I had to guess here, or if I had to use like my professional insight on what I think we're going to see, again, this is just my opinion based on what I've seen so far, but the last thing that he lost was having the kids overnight. So the judge did grant that. So he can no longer keep them overnight. He was allowed to have them from like 5 to 8 on Fridays, from like 8 to 5. There were like certain time periods that he could have them from, but he had to have them home at a certain time. And I'm sure that made him feel very out of control as well. I'm sure. For over here, I have, let's see. So the warning signs and then my clinical message. And then this is the last one. So this is our last slide. So here I have, what can we learn from this? Oh, I also wrote, these are not excuses. They're clinical warning signs that must be caught early in high-risk individuals, especially veterans navigating trauma, loss of identity, and untreated personality pathology, so especially in Decker's case. What can we learn from this? First, comorbid borderline personality disorder and chronic PTSD is a high-risk combination, especially when linked to untreated trauma and relational breakdowns. Second, we need to better trauma-informed systems to monitor emotional collapse in veterans, not just for their safety, but for their family safety. Third, clinicians must be trained to asset attachment styles, which I'm going to have to get into on a totally different thing with you guys. Attachment and identity are my two things. Identity, integrity, and moral injury, especially in patients with unstable self-concept and disassociation. In many cases, I don't know that there's disassociation. This part is going back to the clinical part. Okay, so this is under the clinical. In many cases, there are signs. So things like isolation, extreme idealization, I couldn't get that out, or devaluation of family, sudden role loss, such as a job, custody, or military status, paranoia, or statements like they'd be better off without me. And again, we don't know that he said this. I'm reading from like the clinical things that we have to look out for. And then these are not just red flags. They're opportunities to intervene. That's what we need to see. So let me say that again. These are not just red flags. They're opportunities to intervene. So as of today, Travis Decker remains missing, but the forensic and clinical community can't afford to look away. This isn't just a criminal tragedy. It's a case study in the devastating consequences of identity collapse, unhealed trauma, and relational breakdowns. If we understand the warning signs, maybe next time we'll have the tools to help. I don't know that we're always going to be able to stop it, but to help offset it a little bit. Is there any questions about anything? Let me just stop sharing this so that I come back over here. Hi, you guys. There's a lot of us in here. Look at that. It was a perfect storm. I totally agree with that. So it's called life. It's hard. Be a man, get it together, and rebuild your life. Women do it all the time. I love that. That's well said. But in this case, I do think that we do need to take, I'm laughing there, like to say like women do this stuff all we do, but there's a lot of men that do too. I think in this case, I think that this went back even further, and this had to do with him and his dad, and his kids too. But I think that I don't think that this just stops at his ex-wife. I think that he had a need to be just like many people do, right? They want validation from their parent, especially their same-sex parent. So I think in this case, he wasn't speaking to his dad or his brother. I think that he called them right before all this happened. So, and his dad's the one that told the police that he could live on his own for months at a time. So he does wind up playing a role in, the help. But how much help is there? I wonder if the dad's like actively looking. Who knows? I don't know how old the dad is, so who knows? So let's see. Many times they never say it out loud, but they constantly think it. Wait, hold on. I messed up right before that. Truth. What are you saying, Truth? Many vets do not kill their family, even if they're struggling. That is 100% true. Oh my God, baby doll, that's 100% true. So, and a lot of these are my students. I do think though that it's important to point out that they're not doing that to their families, but 22 a day are doing it to themselves. And that to me is a tragedy in itself. So we're allowing, these young men and women to go and fight for us. And then they come home and we're just like, okay, I have to tell you, like on to the next. That can't be okay, right? And I know all of you agree with that can't be okay. So I think that it's important to bring awareness to the fact that we still have 22 men and women a day that are taking themselves out in our country that are no longer at war. So these are the people that come home. Yes, baby doll agrees. I knew that you did, right? So here, what do we have over here? We have just a thought. The whole two sides of a man's face background should probably just be permanent because it's pretty perfect for all of them. I love it. Guess what? That is such a good point. So at first I was like, oh, thank you. But you're right. So that's a common theme, you guys, that we're seeing. Oh, look, a squirrel's right. Like we're seeing these breakdowns in identity. And I think it's so important. I'm glad I did my dissertation on identity development. I think attachment has a lot to do with this too. But identity development is at the core of a lot of these people, and control. Identity, control, power. They're the three things that I keep saying over and over and over and over, but especially identity and control. So for example, if you look at like Chris Watts, I don't know that he was trying to get power over anyone more than he was trying to control his environment, because I truly think, in my opinion, that he thought that Shanann would never let him be with the girl, right? So the soldier deserves better. I agree. I totally agree. That's like the understatement of the day, isn't it? I think we can all agree on that. I agree. I'll find him. Yeah. So, oh, you think it's going to be via him or the cops? Yeah. What do you guys think the ending to this is? Do you think he's captured alive? Do you think no? And if no, do you think he does it, or do you think he does it by cop? What do you guys think real quick before we hang up? Manifest his destiny. I agree. Truth. If and when he's located, I think that this will happen either. Yeah. So what do you guys think if you had to, not vote, but like say what you would think? Again, the choices are going to be, he comes out alive. He doesn't come out alive. And if he doesn't come out alive, are we going with himself or via the cops? I'm just interested in what you guys think, because I really don't know. In my opinion, on one hand, I want to say no, he wouldn't do it. On the other hand, I know the statistics say that he probably would. So we might be looking for him right now, and the heat sensors might not be working for the same reasons as with Brian Laundrie that I saw somebody bring it up earlier, right? He might not have a warm body anymore. So we don't know that, but for some reason, I can't get rid of the fact that I think he's still alive. I don't know why. So Nina, did Nina just say that he's going to be found gone? I think she did. Or so. Oh no, that was Roy thinks he's going to be. Sarah says self. So same thing, but she thinks that he's going to do it himself. Ray, do you think it's going to be him, or do you think he's going to do it via like law enforcement? I always hate that because I'm always like, if you want to be like, if you like, it's one thing to do that to someone's self, but then to have a cop do it, now the cop has to like go through post-traumatic stress disorder possibly and everything too. So let me go back a little bit. Chad Dorman was so damn normal acting after killing his sons. I have to look into that one. You know what I've gotten out of this whole case? Did anybody see that sheriff? Baby Doll says, yep, I think he's not going to jail for, yes, I agree with that. So, and I'm sure he knows that. I'm sure he knows that he's not making it if he gets there, right? He's like seen as the lowest of the totem pole. So I agree with you 100%. But then that leaves me with, does he do it or does he let the cops do it? Sarah says he'll do it. I Love Taco says he'll be found. Harlot says, I feel like he probably took himself out before they even found the girls. So, okay, so Harlot, this is my question though, because I was thinking about that for a minute, but then I thought about it and I'm like, won't we have seen him like closer? Like, I feel like if you were going to do that, I mean, unless you were planning for like some big chase type thing, I don't know. But my thing is how, like, they didn't find anything yet. And I would think that he'd be closer to the car, but or the truck, but I could be wrong. So he's going to be forced. Yes, isn't that horrible, Baby Doll? Because then now we have to, this poor cop, whoever it's going to be, has to now deal with that themselves. We have this. So he's going to be found gone. Another self. I don't think he will let them take him out alive. And then we have no way captured alive, period. Not sure which way. All right, so no way captured alive, period. Not sure which way of the unalivings, but one of the two. If I had to guess, he does it. I'm just shocked he hasn't done it yet. That's so like ironic that you say that, Sybil, because I agree. I think that if someone, like if he does decide that that's how he's going out, that in a lot of cases, we do see that by cop, but in this case, in my opinion, if this is like a control thing, that might be the very last thing that he controls. But you could also say that he controls, putting himself out there to get, I just like hit myself in the face, to get hurt by the cops. So either way, you could say that either way. Doesn't it get going after a while? And then we had Baby Doll. You couldn't, oh yeah. You could be right, me too, himself, unless he's in a cave. I thought about that. Or what are the natural caves? They said that there's a lot of caves in there, you guys. What if he's in a cave this whole time? And they said that the terrain's like sideways, like it's like literally so hard. But he would be trained in how to navigate those terrains. So that makes me wonder, could he be in a cave somewhere? And wasn't there a guy that like lived for like 30 years in the wilderness when there were like, so there are people that can do it. Is he one of them? I don't know. All right, you guys are going to kill me for this, but do you know that I'm not as versed on that case as I should be? I will though. I'm afraid he's going to have a moment of lucidity and realize what he did and eat a bullet. I could see that. But I almost feel like he already knows what he did, if that makes sense. Almost as if like he chose this. In my opinion, he was thinking about this long before that night. In my opinion, I also think that he might have put this stuff in the Google as a way to deter people from Canada. So I thought about it and I'm like, why leave his cell phone, all that stuff? And I'm like, of course, so that he can't get, look at the Koberger case, right? So that way nobody could track him. But at the same time, I'm like, could he have left those Google searches on purpose because it was so close to the Canadian border? Because from what I heard, if he is the person that the people on the trail saw, if like he is that person, then he would have been south. So I wonder what people think about that. Oh my gosh, I love tacos, right? I was like, where's he at? Sarah and Truth are not interested in that. I know he's cute. All right, I think I have a man crush on Hank Brennan. Oh, you're funny, Truth. I think he'll take himself out. Sadism vibes. Sarah's down with the sadism thing of this. Does anybody else? Oh, Mark. That was so sweet of you. I thank you. I appreciate that so much. You have no idea, you guys. That is so kind. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Kel says that she thought he would have done it already too. I think that he went to a secondary location to contemplate, then did it himself. Guess what? That's probably right. And if it's in a cave, will we know it, right? Well, Mark, I didn't mean to take yours down. Hold on. There we go. If he's in a cave and did that, I mean, could it? I also think of it this way, like, is it like a Brian Laundrie thing? Because a lot of people are comparing it to that. I don't see, the only thing I really see there that I think is like really similar is the fact that they're both lost in the woods type thing. Other than that, I don't see a bunch of similarities. I don't know if other people do. And I don't know, like, is that why people see similarities, do you think? Because of or am I missing something? Because I probably am missing something if you guys see the connection there. So somebody enlighten me. What else do we have here? Somehow I think the cop will feel okay taking him out. Baby doll. I agree, right? But I think about how many students think that they're okay going overseas for the same reason. And then they get there and they come home and it's different than what they thought. So I would just hope that, I mean, I guess you can't say like, oh, you're the one, like, I don't know. I guess when you're in like a fight or flight situation, you have to think of it. But I guess that's also part of the job, right? So I think I agree with you there. Truth, you're busted. I'm surprised he hasn't hurt anyone else. He hasn't stolen anything that we know of either. I'm shocked that he hasn't stolen a car or something. Jen, do we know that he hasn't stolen a car yet? Because I think, well, I guess nobody's like, reported a car missing or said that like he's stolen a car. But I agree with you there. I thought about that before. I'm like, could he have had a secondary car? The other thing I'm thinking about is because he didn't have somewhere that he was going to every night, could he have gone and set up different locations ahead of time and like stored food and stuff or different materials along the way? And then they said that they might have ran into like clothes or something of his. Could it be that he had different things planted at different spots so he wasn't as worried? I don't know. PTSD, the illness that loves to spread like wildflower. I actually agree with that. Sarah. All right, I saw him and was like, looky here. What is this? You are crazy. Crazy. You don't have to do it. Thank you. I don't even know how to react, you guys. I don't even know how to react with this yet. I'm still getting used to all this. Thank you. I'm appreciative. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, all of you. I would expect him to be close to where they found the girls, but I'm not sure. All the searchers and sniffer dogs missed Brian Laundrie while he was rotting in the. Remember that? Like, wasn't he like in between the trees or something and they just didn't see him? And then didn't his parents like find him in like 45 minutes? That's right. Mark says, thank you for your support. He's in a cave. I think that could be true too. So you're finding similarities? Is that what you mean? I know that here we have someone that Ted Kaczynski or whatever that was, I actually could see some of those similarities actually, Dynamite. Good job. A+ for you. No point anymore. Ted Bundy? Oh, Kaczynski. I'm like, did she mean Ted Bundy? And then I just had to think that out in my head for a minute. You mean, gotcha. I think so too. I was going to say, not Ted Bundy. That's the wrong case. I think he didn't want to pay child support for 3 young children. So, baby doll, I think even more than this, though, because I'm sure that you're right there. I know that he also got a ticket for not having insurance and being in that hit or run or whatever, or maybe not the hit or run part, but for being in another car accident where I think he had hit or run earlier in the month. I bet he didn't want to pay child support. A lot of people don't, but that's not really a reason to then go do that. So, although I agree that he probably didn't want to pay, I think he wanted to move back in. And by moving back in, he gets his house back. he gets his wife back, he gets his kids back, and he gets to be that protector back, and he doesn't have to pay child support anymore. So, baby doll, I will say that that was on my list of reasons that would make him want to get back with the mom. I mean, other than obvious reasons as well, but even if it's just for identity purposes and, you know, child support and stuff, I think that could play a role. And if he is a big part of his child's lives, the other thing, you guys, is I think his ex said that his kids and his dog were meant the most to him. I will say that right before this all happened, he told her that he might have to get rid of the dog because of his homelessness and stuff like that. I think she, thinking she was doing him a favor, offers to take the dog in. I think that although she meant well, right? And I think like she had the right intentions. We might all even be like, look how generous she is. Like that's so, you know, I think on his end though, that was like another dig to his identity. So it was like, oh wait, you're going to take the dog in, but you won't take me in. So I think that played a role. All right, maybe. All right, here we go. On top of wanting to hurt the mother, I said that too. That maybe he wants to hurt her bad too, which is why it's like, if you can't have them, I mean, if I can't have them, you can't either, which is terrible. And what about the mom? Like she definitely, I don't know. I would have like, I don't know. I would be a lot more irate, I think. And I think that, I don't think that it's a bad thing. I think if anything, like how mature of her, right? Or could it be that she's still in denial? I have no idea. She could be in denial until he gets caught. I really don't know. And I hope I'm never in the position to find out, right? So let's hope none of us are. Next we have, do you think he thought about physically hurting his ex-wife? Yes. So I think that if she would have let him come back home, that she would have been at risk of being part of this. I do. That's my opinion. So borderline personality disorder doesn't open him. Okay, let me put this up. Doesn't open him to trance-like states that you see in flashbacks and PTSD. No. So with borderline personality disorder, you know who you could think of that is like a central person that we could think of? I think of Jodi Arias. Do you guys remember that case? Think Jodi Arias. So I think with Jodi Arias, she was humiliated by Travis, and it was like that thing, like if I can't have you, nobody can type thing. So I think there it wasn't trance, like she like broke into his doggy door and stuff. Like that's another case we need to get into. Craziness. Regardless how much training you have had, he has to eat and drink. I just can't believe they haven't found him yet. So Sybil, this is what I'm saying. Could he have gone before this and like stored things at different sites? Like they have all that like dry food and stuff that you have to add water, and he was walking by the lake or going up there. Oh, look who's here. Hi, Drunk Turkey. How are you? Aren't you supposed to be doing football stuff, or is that later? I know that you do football stuff today. All right, so the sheriff makes me take I agree. All right. So let's see what else we have over here. I love tacos. I think he offed his kids to hurt his ex, so not thinking of offending her, just like the mom who offed his boys in front of the yard. Did you see that? Oh my gosh, you guys, the dad, and he like misses the kid, the boys or something. It's like 3 boys, and he like, that was horrifying. And it's like on tape. So if somebody did not see that, I don't know if anybody knows his name, but if you look that up, you guys, that was so sad. And the dad's like running around, like, and the kids are like running. And at one point you think that the one kid's getting away and he just doesn't. It's so sad. And then he has another kid that he brings out to it's just that whole thing was wow. And it's all caught on tape. Let's see what else we have here. Eventually there would be blood splatter that wouldn't be washed away by rain, even if animals. So you're saying that if he is not alive, that, oh, there you go. If he's not alive instead of unalive, if he's not alive, that he's probably dinner for a lot of the animals. I could agree with that. That same thing happened with Casey Anthony, right? With Kaylee Anthony. When they found her, she was like spread out over a large field, like not field, but like a large area because the animals came in and tore her up. It's a sin. Which is sadistic. And Sarah just wants her A+. Sarah, you get your A+. You definitely do. Don't see Laundry myself. I didn't either. I think that a lot of people are just comparing him to Brian Laundry because of the chase that's going on right now. And I know that with Brian Laundry, like we didn't get him right after Gabby Petito passed, right? So there was like a whole manhunt at some point. And I feel like that's where there's commonalities. And then the whole Woods thing. But other than that, I don't see the commonalities. Even in that his dad comes out and tries to tell the police like he can live on his own for months at a time. So like his dad's even cooperating. If you remember the Laundries, they were like, nope, not cooperating. That was terrible. So wait, I didn't see. Oh, so Sarah, you're saying if he is gone. I see. Or borrow them. You're a goof. So we have, I bet he did. We have lots of hi Daniels. People are loving seeing you here, Daniel. Thank you so much for coming. They were on his trail a few days ago and nothing yet. That's what I'm saying. Do we know if that guy was him or the person that they saw? I wonder if it was him. Oh, I love you, Mark. That was great. Let's see. Wait, what is this? What's happening? You're not a cougar. You're still young. Stop it. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah, I'm like, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't even know what to say. So, yes, I agree with this. I agree with this. Ted, not the other Ted. I thought you meant Ted Bundy at first. I was like, there is no correlation here between the two. The other Ted, I see. So he could have just left and not, yes, taken the kids' lives and not pay. Oh my God, that is such a great point, you guys, that Daniel brings up. He could have just went and like gone to, you know, Canada and just been like, I'm not paying. How many people do that? So that's I agree with that 100%, which makes me think that this was also a jab at his ex. So it was kind of like, if you think that I'm unfit, you're not going to have them either type thing. So I unfortunately think that that's what we're going to see. I think this goes back to a loss of identity again. I think when he ended the military and then he got divorced and then he lost his house and then he lost his kids, like, I just think it was just a big pile on of stress and a lot of broken identity. So I think that there was more to it than, but you're right. He should have just left and not paid child support. And that would have been a much better outcome. I agree. So let's see what else we have here. If you, where did you even find that? You guys are the best. I don't even know where I found you guys. You're all the best. A lot of you from the Drunk Turkey show. So thank you, Daniel. And then a lot of you, I don't know. I'm like, truth. What is going on here? What is happening? Thank you. I don't even know how to react. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. That's exciting. Okay, his agenda was different. I don't agree with the not wanting to pay child support. Oh, I agree it was much deeper. I do. I'm just saying when somebody brought that up, I obviously said I didn't think that was it altogether, but I'm sure that was stressful too. I know that he just got a ticket the day before, or a few days before, when he was in that accident. The cop that came out gave him a ticket for not having insurance. So, and then he got another ticket for something else. So one was like 500 and something. The other one was like close to 300. So if you're homeless, right, and you already have to pay child support and all this other stuff, I'm assuming that an extra $800 is not going to be easy, or that you're not going to want to really give that up, especially if you don't have a place that you're staying. Right? Oh my God, that's so funny. My little engine that could. We named my computer, you guys, the little engine that could. If anybody has been to the Drunk Turkey show, you guys know that my computer has a mind of its own. I usually wind up going on my phone. Okay, so let's see. Let's go, Truth. Truth, thank you so much. Arm wrestling, MRE. Yeah, I get it now. You guys are funny. So we hope Daniel, oh yeah, Daniel, hey, Daniel, how is your arm? Hopefully it's like on the up and up, especially for football season, right? Yeah, that broke my heart too. He had ranger training. That was my whole part of Lucas Girl. He had ranger training, and part of that is learning how to evade the enemy. That, I guess so, that's my whole thing, right? So he could definitely be in a cave somewhere, you guys, or just off grid. And again, look at that terrain. It's like they literally said it's like so hard to do anything on that terrain because of the way that it's like very steep. So I totally agree with that. Not only did he learn how to disappear, he learned how to evade others. And if he's the one that they saw when the helicopters went over him, they said that he ran away. That says a lot too, right? Because that says to me, like, why would you run away? If anything, if I were not doing anything wrong and I saw a helicopter, I would be looking up and then looking around like, oh, who are they looking for? So the fact that the person ran says to me that it might have been him. And if it was him, then that says to me that he probably isn't gone yet. He probably is still around. Unless, that night that the cops were onto him, unless he felt something in that moment, like as if they were onto him or whatever, and that he was in imminent danger, he could have just evaded them, right? Just like he was trained to do. So I think that's a great point, Lucas Squirrel. Oh, don't I ever. Yes, he could have some, but how long he's been discharged. So are we talking about like brain damage? He was recently arguing about his time with his kids was restrictive. Yes, he probably blames his wife. So Daniel, I think that, yeah, I agree about the Brian Laundrie ending, but I totally agree with this. And that's what I was saying. I think that it was like, you divorced me, so you left me, and now I'm homeless, and now you're taking my kids away from me too. If that, what I read was the same thing. They said that he was supposed to sign his parenting agreement and he refused to do so. And he was also supposed to get a mental health evaluation. So I think, like, where were the courts that they let him have some type of visitation without those things? Like, what does it take to sign something and set up a doctor's appointment? But he refused to do it. So to me, that is like a red flag in itself. But I agree with you. There's probably something for mom there negatively. What case is all caught on camera? Oh my God, does anybody know the guy's name? Mark, if you look up the guy who took out his 3 sons in front of the mom, out front on the lawn, you'll find it. There can't be that many that are there on camera. I can't think of his name. Is that his name? Is this the one you guys were talking about earlier? And I was like, I don't know that case. Haha. That's funny. Is that who we're talking about? Because if so, then I know the case. Sarah. Sarah's stuck on the statistic thing. I get, yeah, Sarah, I see what you're saying. I just don't know that we know enough to say that, though. He should get acupressure, deep tissue therapy. Oh, we're talking about Daniel here? Scar tissue is a mother. He was trying to gain control back. Yes, I agree with that. He lost everything, so he took him away. Now he has the ultimate control and left with no answers to the questions that will arise. So Ray, I agree with this. And I think this is the only reason that I think that he could take himself out, is because that would be the ultimate control, right? So not giving the cops the ability to take him out, but to do it himself. So I think that there's a great point there. So let's say it was heartbreaking. It was. Oh, that poor mom. Oh my God. And right. So even Whitney, like poor Whitney, that mom though, like literally, you guys, if you haven't seen that case, Mark, you need to go look it up. It's like, oh gosh, I don't even have words for it. Let's see what else we have here. He's in a cave. I agree with that. Laundrie offed himself early. So could it be that so did Travis? I don't know. So many millions searching after the official search ended. His parents went, yes, and found him in 35 minutes. So a lot of people thought that was shady. But then I thought about it, and I think they were like a hiking type family. So if this was really like one of his favorite trails, they might have known that. And that could be why they found him so quickly. But his parents are definitely shady for sure. All right, let's see. If I was Daniel, I'd be getting 30 minutes from, oh yeah, you definitely should get physical therapy. I have that effect on a lot of women. Oh my God, stop. I can't with you. You're too funny. All right, Daniel has a Steelers cast at 9 my time, but also talking Karen Reed about 725. Daniel, I'm getting off of here in a minute. So I'm glad that I did this early because I never want to go live the same time as you. Let's see. But when you go do your Steelers thing, I can, those Steelers, I don't know. Right state, wrong team. And I'm going to be the oddball and say I think he was coming from depression, not sadism. Me too. So, oh, look, a squirrel. I think that's why I'm not. I think that's why Sarah keeps saying it's because I'm not there yet. More than just depression, I think it was the post-traumatic stress more so than anything. I do too, in that particular sense. So that was a good point. Thank you for saying that. I don't see any similarities other than thinking Travis already deleted himself. Oh, that's a good way to put it. And is out there somewhere, but the searches aren't finding him. Maybe too much trust in the dogs. Or are they not putting enough trust in the dogs? I don't know. Because didn't the dog come up when a scent? Depression doesn't explain it by itself. You're absolutely right. But neither does sadism, right? Because if you look into pickerism, that's a thing too. So, and I would say that a pickerist is definitely a sadist. So I think there's just too many. There's too many. Watch, you guys. Oh, look, a squirrel. Just so you know, you just opened up like a whole Pandora's box for me. Sarah will send me the information until I change my mind. Watch. She's going to like back it up with some research. I don't know, something. I'll let you know when I figure it out. Okay. Oh my God, that's so funny. I do talk with my hands. Oh, I love you guys. You guys are the best. So you're also stealing his phrase. I look a squirrel. I agree. Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't. There we go. Hey, all right. So that one's for Daniel. So I won't go into that one. So we don't put that up on blast. He's still running. Time's not on his side, though. I agree with that. I also think this Karen Reed case, you guys, I can't. Truth knows that I'm like bananas with that one. What the hell? Oh my God. Thank you. You guys, I don't even understand this. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to have to come up with a way to express my appreciation. This is my first live that Mark the Shark hooked me up on super thanks. So thank you so much. This is the first time I'm live, and Truth hooked me up during our members only. But this is the first time I'm live. So all of you guys that helped me tonight, thank you so much too. And you can remember it as being, you guys were one of my first. How about that? So if you look at the snow buildup on, John and the stupid car and the Karen Reed, and isn't this over yet? Like, are they at deliberations yet? Please. I can't with this case. Oh my God. I hear Truth talk about it. I do listen. Sarah, what is happening? What are you guys doing? Thank you. Thank you. You guys, thank you. Oh my God. My arm is healing. Oh, thank God. It's all pain management right now. Oh, good. I'm glad that it's getting better, Daniel. The chat is on fire. I love you guys. Good to hear you're on the mend. I totally agree with that. That's friendship. Dr. Vona and that pickerism word. I'm telling you, all right, Truth, and that Karen Reed word. How about that one? Soup fun. You know me so well. I love Wawa soup, you guys. I don't know if you have a Wawa or if you even know what that means, but Wawa has good soup. It's literally like somewhere that you wouldn't think, like you get gas there and like cigarettes and stuff. They have good soup. All right, new favorite word, Truth. And then, I love that you snort. That is so funny when you laugh. That's hysterical. Not snort, you guys. I should watch how I say that. She snorts when she laughs, not like drugs. All right, with that Karen Reed case, you too. I'm totally fine with it. Talk it all up if you want. Please, Truth, talk to Daniel about it as much as you want so that it's less I have to like take in later. I just don't know what it is. And I'll listen. Every time you guys talk to me about it, I will listen. But I'm thinking in my head, like, when is this case going to be over? I feel like this is like the longest case. And I think it's because there was the mistrial the first time. And I feel like we see the Koberger case and we're waiting years now and it still hasn't nothing yet. So with that case, we saw a mistrial and now she's already in trial again. So I wonder if that's it. And maybe it just seems like it never stopped from the first one yet. So maybe that's where I'm like, with this case, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that Daniel and Truth think that she is toast. All right. Oh, I love you guys. Thank you so much. I never got into that case either. So, well, I did it the first time a tiny bit. I will. I just called you Dr. Vona, drunk turkey. That was pretty funny. I will give you an outside perspective, not an inside one on the Karen Reed case, but definitely an outside one. I could probably do that. I would love to be there. I will be there. Thank you all for your support. I do appreciate it. I am going to, I have to go pick up my daughter. And then, he's described as loving, involved father. I don't think he would or could turn around and do that to his 3 girls out of spite. Not sure why he did it, but I think he took himself out after. So, Harlot, I don't think I know enough to say either way. So I think we're going to see one or like 2 or 3 things. Either it was spiteful against the mom, right? Or we could see that it could be other reasons like that. See, but the thing is with borderline and the fear of abandonment, that kind of would go into the whole thing with the ex-wife. So, and the fear of abandonment from the girls, which could also be a reason why he didn't just flee and go to like Canada and not take the kids and not leave the kids behind and just not pay child support. That could have had something to do with it too, right? So I think that the third option is that all of these things could be true at the same time. So I think we just really need to see. I don't think that we know enough. I feel like we keep hearing the same like few things over and over again instead of new things. That's just my opinion. Okay. The case that never ends. All right, you guys. So I am going to go because I have to go pick up my daughter soon, and then I have to go visit someone in the hospital, and then I'll be back in time to listen to Drunk Turkey at some point. So if I come in a little bit late, it's because I was at the hospital and not because I was doing something else. Oh, thank you, Bob. I appreciate you. That was so nice. We don't know enough. So true. Exactly. So I'm not afraid to say that. Just like with Brian Goldberger, right? Wait, why not take off? Or is I don't know. Yeah, why not take off and take the kids with him? What do you guys think about that? Daniel, why do you always have to have good points? Now I have to think about that. No, I'm okay. It's all right. Whatever. I'm a big girl. Why didn't he take off with the kids then, right? So if he was trying to be spiteful, couldn't he? But then he could be arrested for kidnapping, and maybe in his head, kidnapping, you're probably going to do just as much time because there's not the ultimate penalty there. So he would probably get the same amount of time. I don't know, Daniel. I'm going to have to think about that. This whole life was collapsing. I agree with that. The courts were giving him less visitation because he was homeless. If the VA had helped with housing, I bet he would have been able to get back on his feet. Okay. If that isn't right, I agree. Came in super late. I'll back it up and catch up. Oh, thank you so much for coming in here. I appreciate you. Oh my God, Sarah. Sarah, you're lucky. I love you. All right, you guys, I am going to go pick up my daughter and then go there. And then I will come back and I will see most of you in the Drunk Turkey show talking about Karen Reed because that's my favorite case. I'm just kidding. I'll still listen to you in truth. Amber alerts would be a problem. All right, so the last thing I'll leave you with, even though I know I can't shut up, but the last thing I'll leave you with is when it comes to the Amber Alert, I understand both sides. I understand the side of I'd rather have multiple Amber Alerts and then somebody find the kids and it just be a false alarm. At the same time, I'd be afraid that not everybody would be like me and that people would just shut it off altogether because they would be like, I'm getting multiple Amber Alerts a day. Because if you change the Amber Alert, then you have to change it for all of the kids, right? So then how many does that open up to? But I also think I don't get very many Amber Alerts, right? So could there be a middle, right? Like somewhere in the middle where like maybe there's a few other things that they could do. So maybe her kids would have qualified for it, but not go as far as to where every kid that the parent thinks they don't know where they're at, that they could do that. So I don't know. I go both ways with that. I don't know if you guys think that that could have saved them. Okay, you guys, I will see you all. Thank you so much for being here. If you are not subscribed to the channel, that is really one of the best ways that you can help me for free is just subscribe, like, share if you want, but definitely subscribe and like and set on your notifications so that you don't miss my big mail. How about that? Thank you guys. I appreciate you. And I'll see you, most of you, and Daniel, I'll see you later on about Karen Reed. Oh, this Karen Reed. Okay, I got to figure out how to. Please like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this so that I can continue to bring you content. Thank you so much.